Before you scroll away, understand this. Most minds will never unlock what you just touched. Most people chase power by being loud. They confuse noise with dominance and visibility with control. That path was never built for you. You were built for something colder, quieter, and far more dangerous. This is not motivation. This is a forbidden mental upgrade hidden in plain sight, designed for minds that do not fit inside ordinary rules. If you crave comfort, turn away now. If you need approval, close this video. But if you feel like a sleeping predator trapped in a calm body, stay. You are not weak. You are unfinished. This method will either make you a silent threat or remove you from normal society. Phase 1. The Severance Ritual, Mind Isolation Protocol. Phase 1 begins with a deliberate break from emotional noise. This is the severance ritual, and it is not symbolic. It is neurological. You start with mental silence training. For 24 hours, you remove unnecessary input. No social media, no debates, no comforting conversations, no impulsive entertainment. This is not loneliness. This is a controlled withdrawal designed to reset your neural dependency on stimulation. During this phase, you sit with your thoughts instead of escaping them. When boredom appears, you do not reach for a screen. When anxiety appears, you do not distract yourself. You let the discomfort exist without reaction. This creates a gap between impulse and action. That gap is where control is born. You will practice emotional detachment drills. When a memory triggers anger, you observe it as a neutral event. When a thought creates fear, you label it as information, not identity. You do not fight emotions. You study them like data. Your goal is to turn your mind inward. You stop seeking external validation. You stop performing for invisible audiences. You become comfortable inside your own head without noise. By the end of the ritual, impulses feel slower. Reactions feel optional. Your awareness becomes sharp and still. This is the foundation of psychological dominance, because you no longer move on command from emotion. You move on command from choice. This stage feels simple, but it is not weak. It is the first gate. Only disciplined minds complete it without retreating in middle of discomfort. Phase 2. Predator cognition training. Turns your mind from emotional to strategic. This stage is not about aggression. It is about awareness. You stop seeing people as personalities and start seeing them as patterns. This is called predator cognition because predators survive by reading movement, rhythm, and weakness in the environment, not by acting impulsively. You begin with observation drills. When you enter a room, you do not talk first. You watch. You notice who speaks to control, who speaks for approval, who stays silent, and who follows. You do not judge. You record. People become data, not emotional triggers. Next comes silent pattern analysis. You study how conversations flow. You track who interrupts. You track who hesitates. You track who mirrors energy and who resists it. Over time, the social world stops feeling random. It feels predictable. It feels mapped. Then you activate mental threat mapping. This does not mean danger in the physical sense. This means psychological positioning. You identify who drains energy, who seeks dominance, who hides insecurity behind humor, and who carries silent strength. You learn how minds collide before words are exchanged. The goal of this phase is simple. You stop reacting emotionally to people. You stop personalizing behavior. You begin to see every interaction as a move on a board instead of chaos in your head. Introverts excel here because you already think quietly. Now your silence becomes strategic. Your awareness becomes sharp. You stop feeling overwhelmed by social complexity and start seeing the hidden structure underneath everything. Phase 3. The Scarcity Switch, Social Energy Weaponization. Phase 3 transforms how your presence is experienced by others. This is called the Scarcity Switch, and it works by controlling access to you. Most people destroy their psychological value by being constantly available. They overexpose themselves. They explain too much. They react too fast. You do the opposite. You begin with controlled social starvation. This does not mean avoidance out of fear. It means intentional limitation. You reduce unnecessary interactions. You stop replying instantly. You stop filling silence just to be polite. You allow space to exist around your presence. That space becomes tension. That tension becomes weight. Next, you apply the no validation protocol. You stop seeking approval in speech, posture, and reaction. You do not fish for agreement. You do not soften your words to be liked. You do not share personal struggles for sympathy. You become emotionally self-sufficient in public settings. This creates silent authority. Over time, you create perceived mental gravity. This is not about domination. It is about psychological density. When you speak, it sounds deliberate. When you stay silent, it feels intentional. People begin to feel your absence when you are not present, and they feel pressure when you are. Your goal is not to become cold. Your goal is to become rare. Rarity creates value. Value creates tension. Tension creates respect. Your presence starts to feel dangerous not because you threaten, but because you no longer chase. You no longer explain. You no longer overextend your energy. You move like someone who chooses when to enter a room and when to disappear. That controlled withdrawal sharpens your psychological edge and makes you feel difficult to read, difficult to access, and difficult to replace. Phase 4. Identity Recode Protocol. Phase 4 is where real transformation begins. This stage is not about improvement. It is about replacement. The Identity Recode Protocol means you detach from who you used to be and build a new internal structure from the ground up. This is symbolic death, not physical. You are ending an outdated mental version of yourself. You start by breaking emotional attachment to your old identity. You stop introducing yourself in your mind as the anxious one, the shy one, the overthinking one, or the misunderstood one. You stop rehearsing old stories. You stop protecting old limitations. You observe them as expired data, not permanent truth. Next, you rename your internal self. This name is never spoken out loud. It is used only in your mind. It represents your upgraded identity. When you think through this new name. When you plan, you use this name. This separates your future behavior from your past conditioning. Then you perform the internal throne, visualization. You imagine a dark, silent room in your mind. You see a single throne in the center. You sit yourself on it. Nobody else stands beside you. Nobody speaks. You are not loud. You are not reactive. You are not seeking permission. You are simply seated in authority over your own mind. The goal of this phase is to permanently rewire how you see yourself. You are no longer a passive observer of life. You are no longer normal. You are not desperate for belonging. You are becoming a strategic outlier. Your thoughts begin to feel structured instead of chaotic. Your decisions begin to feel intentional instead of emotional. You stop identifying with weakness and start identifying with control. This is where your internal hierarchy changes and your new psychological framework becomes permanent. Phase 5. The Silent Aura Doctrine. Phase 5 teaches you how to project dominance without speaking. This is the Silent Aura Doctrine. You no longer rely on words to create impact. Your presence alone begins to control the emotional temperature of a room. You begin with eye contact control drills. You stop blinking rapidly. You stop breaking eye contact out of discomfort. When you look at someone, you do not stare aggressively. You look calmly, steadily, and silently. This creates pressure without effort. People feel seen and measured, not attacked. Next, you practice micro-expression, suppression. You stop reacting with your face. You stop showing surprise, insecurity, excitement, or fear. Your face becomes neutral, composed, and disciplined. This makes your thoughts unreadable. When people cannot read you, they feel uncertain. Uncertainty creates psychological tension. Then you apply movement restraint. You stop fidgeting. You stop unnecessary gestures. Your movements become slow, deliberate, and minimal. Every action looks intentional. Every pause feels calculated. The goal is not to scare people through threat. The goal is to create social gravity through control. You are not loud. You are not animated. You do not compete for attention. You become socially intense through silence. People begin to feel your presence before you speak. They sense depth. They sense limits. They sense something contained and disciplined. You say less. You move less. You move less. You reveal less. And because of that, people stop taking you lightly. Dark warning. Psychological cost section. This is the part most people ignore. Power always has a cost, and this method is not safe for comfortable minds. As your awareness sharpens and your control deepens, you will feel the edges of isolation. Your thinking will separate you from casual conversations. Your silence will make you feel distant from ordinary emotional exchanges. Loneliness becomes a real risk, not a metaphor. You may find it harder to connect with people who live on shallow reactions and constant validation. Emotional coldness can begin to appear if you forget that control is a tool, not a prison. Social distance will feel real, not imagined. People may see you as intense, unreadable, or unapproachable. This is not fantasy power. This is psychological weight. If you walk this path without balance, you can become cut off, overly detached, and emotionally isolated. The strength is real, but so is the danger. You have reached the edge most people never touch. There is no applause here, no approval, no crowd waiting to celebrate you. There is only a choice. You return to comfort, routine, and normal thinking, or you activate the protocol and leave that version of yourself behind. You do not talk about this path. You execute it in silence. You do not seek permission. You become proof. This is not for everyone. This is for the few who feel different and refuse to stay small. Now ask yourself one question. Are you strong enough to cross this line? And if you felt something shift inside you, don't explain it. Don't justify it. Just comment. I see it, and only those who truly understood will know exactly what that means.